Showtime. Good afternoon, everyone. We've got the 121st U.S. Open Championship this week. I'm here with Dane Chenault talking the U.S. Open. Before we get started here, we just kind of wanted to show you guys a clip. We are back at Torrey Pines for the U.S. Open, so I'm just going to flip over here, and we're just going to watch this 1-minute clip here just to get you, if you're not excited yet, you will be after this, so just hold on. Big miss.
Poor Lee.
Rocco looked nervous there.
Yeah.
Oh, that roar. That roar.
Expect anything different?
Torrey Pines. It's sad. It is sad to not see him here this year. Let me just shut that off now. Definitely sad not to see him here back at Torrey Pines. I think with what has he got? 8 wins here now, career at with the Farmers, and then that U.S. Open in there as well. So
yeah, it is. On a better note, it was nice to see him putting a little pressure on his leg in a video on Twitter. So
yeah, I seen that yesterday. That was awesome seeing him come out, and he kind of at first was kind of like using the crutches quite a bit, and then he just kind of looked like he was walking, and they were just a little bit of an assistance. So he is definitely going to be Tiger season, hopefully soon. Probably not till 2022, but it's nice to see him walking again for sure. So yeah. We're here for the talk some DFS. We're going to talk some betting. We're going to talk some ownership projections. We're going to talk some optimizers, prize picks, weather. We got you covered here. So if you got questions, throw them up in chat. This is kind of a spur of the moment show. Wednesday nights haven't been really working for us. And there's some other big shows we were competing with as well. So I know for me personally, if Dane can join me, I know I'm going to be for sure doing, like a Wednesday afternoon like this, early afternoon type thing, to kind of give you a look at ownership and our thoughts going into Wednesday. And then we're going to be in chat Wednesday night as we build. So a lot of huge storylines for this U.S. Open. Like I said, back to Torrey Pines. The U.S. Open last year ended up being, was it September, late September? Bryson ended up taking that home. So I'm going to just flip over to the screen here real quick and just go and look at the U.S. Open history here. So yeah, we had Bryson DeChambeau at Wingfoot win with -6. The year before that was Gary Woodland -13. Brooks 2 years in a row before that. Dustin Johnson in 2016 at Oakmont, and then should have been Dustin Johnson at Chambers Bay, but he went and 3-putted and gave it to Jordan Spieth in 2015. So kind of I guess when you start looking at the top of these leaderboards, we see a lot of bombers, and that's just simply because we are here at Torrey Pines, and it is an absolute beast. So I guess, first of all, what are a couple of stats that you're looking at in your core for your model this week?
Really, it's just all-around game. I think you're going to need it. The longer hitters, I think, do have an advantage here. Like we've talked about a lot, if you're hitting it farther out there and you're in the rough, it's much better than being 220 out if you're 160 out hitting from the rough. So I do think these longer hitters have an advantage. We've seen videos of the rough. I mean, right around the green, you almost lose your ball around here. That's kind of how it is in most U.S. Opens. This is one it's not a new tryout U.S. Open course. So we know what we're getting here as far as the difficulty. We're probably not going to see anybody get past 5 under a winner, I wouldn't think. We might not even see one much under par at all. It just depends how the conditions play out through the week. But I expect a very stern test of golf, and you're going to need every bit of your game if you want to compete this week.
100% agree. So I pulled up the weather here. Not looking too bad. We've got mid-60s on Thursday. Winds only peaking at about 10 miles an hour, 12 in terms of gusts. So it looks like some pretty good scoring conditions. That kind of continues on into Friday, and I am on Windfinder here and looking at Black's Beach, Torrey Pines, and that is right on site of Torrey Pines here. So that is the weather station that I'm using this week, and I have broken it down into Super Forecast, which looks at the current day and 2 days ahead. So if we want to go look at the whole entire weekend here, because Thursday, Friday look awesome. We'll go look at Saturday, Sunday, and it's both the same thing all the way through. Mid 60s to low 70s in terms of temperature, minimal winds. So we could see some scoring, but again, it's Torrey Pines. I don't think, if we go look at, also on the sheet, I've got the Farmers Insurance Open, because annually they do hold this event here. Like you said, this is one of 2 U.S. Open venues in the rotation that are also used regularly or annually on the PGA Tours. We've got the Farmers Insurance Open, and then we've got the Pebble Beach Pro Link, or Pebble Beach Golf Links as well, for the Pro-Am over there. So there is a lot of familiarity with this course, but it is going to play different, obviously. I mean, it's only used 3 of 4 in the Farmers Insurance Open, and it's definitely not set up like it is this week. We've got narrower fairways. They talked about setting up the rough around the greens to kind of negate that distance a little bit, because I think I seen a stat earlier in the week, and I forget who posted it. I think it was PGA Stats 101 or something like that on Twitter, where the average accuracy and the average distance ranking for the week was it was top 5 for distance, and it was like outside 120th for driving accuracy. So I could see the USGA trying to get that rough up a little bit higher, closer to the greens, just to make it a little bit more difficult. But generally, this rough is going to be high anyway. Kikuya, I believe, and it's they listed as anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. So I've seen some TikTok videos last night. I've seen some YouTube videos, some Twitter stuff going on, and it looks gnarly. So not only are we going to need distance, I think, but we're going to be looking for guys, when you're breaking down your distance, guys, try and find as much accuracy as possible out of those guys, or at least in the short term, because hitting out of that rough is going to be gnarly. And if you are targeting a guy that maybe has distance, a little less on the accuracy side of things, I definitely like throwing some rough proximity into my model for those guys. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at stats. Par 4s are going to be important. I agree with you. It's going to be, I think, -5 to -10, somewhere in there, in terms of a final score. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I've also got on the sheet here, we're going to talk some ownership. So first of all, I've got below here some guys, probably like the top 5, top 10, not in any order particular in terms of ownership projections. And on the sheet here, I got marked in C. That's just chalk. So those are guys that are projected over 12% on Fanshare Sports. That's the site that I use. If you want to go over there and check them out, definitely do that. You can definitely see all these numbers that are associated with them. But right off the bat, I think it's, pretty common. I think we knew coming in that Jon Rahm was going to be up there chalky, even at his price. This is a little bit softer. I mean, if this is a regular event, he's 12.5. But in terms of chalk, he had a 6-stroke lead going into the final round of the Memorial before they came and told him that he had to pull out because of COVID. So he was just broke over that. So I could see that motivated him coming in. And I mean, we scroll over and look at the Farmers Insurance Open. Almost no one has been better than him here recently. He won it in 2017, followed that up with the T29 in 2018, T5 in 2019, runner-up in 2020, and then T7 earlier this year. So what are your thoughts on Rahm, first of all, and are you going to have him in your player pool?
I mean, I like Rahm. He was definitely the guy that I wanted to play coming into the week. I don't really love that he's the highest price, because there's so many guys right below him. Kind of like the betting odds, he's way shorter than anybody right behind him, almost half the price of some of these guys. So I'm still debating on whether I'll have him in my player pool. I won't be playing him in single entry, but he might make it into my pool in 20 max.
Nice. I like that. And then, as you can see here, other chalk guys I think we've seen coming. Bryson won the most recent U.S. Open. Brooks plays good at almost, he won back-to-back U.S. Opens, and he's just comes out at majors. He's just a completely different animal. You don't look at his, I'm not worried about his Farmers Insurance Open. He's missed his last 2 cuts. He's only played here twice in the last 5 years, but he missed the cut both times. I'm not really concerned about that with Brooks whatsoever. His form was, I don't want to say awful last week. He barely missed the cut. I was high on him over DJ, so that went completely wrong. But it's a major. Rory's going to be chalk, and then we've got these guys in this 9K range that are underpriced because of the major aspect to it with the softer pricing. So there is going to be some opportunities to make some pivots. A couple of my favorites that I've talked about this week, not ignoring the ownership. I love Xander. He finished runner-up here after not having great course history at Torrey Pines. But you look at his U.S. Open, he's been tremendous, 5th, 6th, 3rd, and 5th. One stat that I wanted to actually mention that I didn't in my model, yes, for ball striking, I'm looking at distance with a little bit of accuracy. And then on approaches, I'm looking at the long irons. But then when we're talking about a complete tee to green game, like you had mentioned, the around the green is going to be very, very important this week. I think we're going to see a low greens in regulation number. These are small greens. We've got smaller fairways. We've got thick rough. And they even talk about, I'd seen Phil talking about in one of his interviews on the Golf Channel here yesterday, talking about the bunkers here. Who's the designer of this course? Slipping my mind at the moment.
I think Reese Jones did some work.
Yes, yep. And he was talking about,
he was the main designer, but
they were talking about the designer and how he put his courses together and how the runoffs into the bunkers, which makes the bunker shots like 10 yards further than they actually are. So if it's a 5-yard bunker shot, it's now a 15-yard bunker shot, because if you don't get at that carry distance out of those bunkers, a lot of times it's just going to roll right back in. So that was an interesting design. So around the green is going to be huge. So that's something I'm looking at this week a lot. Couple of pivots. I'll let you talk about a couple of your favorites in the top tier, and then a couple of your pivots away from those, or how you're going about, I guess a better question would be how you're going about attacking this top tier. And let's just say 9K and up.
Yeah. So usually what I try to do in every week is narrow down to just a couple, maybe 3 to use, and really zone in on a few guys. So I got to make cuts up here. So that's why Rahm is right on the edge. Spieth, it just does not seem like a course to me that's going to fit him. I know he's going to be a little lower on, but he is the second highest price guy, and I can get guys I like a lot more. So he's going to be a fade for me, I believe. DJ looked a little better last week, but I'm still leaning off of him. Bryson and Brooks are definitely my 2 favorites right now. 10-4 for Bryson. Just kind of been riding him over the summer, I feel like. But what better place to continue that than right here at a course that seems like it would suit him to a T, that he can bomb it out there. He's got the strength coming out of the rough. I mean, I don't see really a way to at least not include him in my player pool. So, and then Brooks, he did look fine last week, tee to green. So, in the 2 rounds, so I don't know. I think he missed the cut right before the PGA too. He could be doing that. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
The way he is, he could just be like, I don't want to play on the weekend. But those are definitely my favorite 2. Otherwise, the low 9K range, a guy that I'm for sure playing is Victor Hovland. I like what we saw from him here in the spring, or the winter, I guess it was still when they played here. So I really like to see that, and I like his form. Currently, he's got the tee to green game. The only thing that would worry you would be the around the green, but he's definitely going to be my favorite, or my 3rd favorite. So those are the 3 that I'm for sure playing above 9K: Victor, Brooks, and Bryson.
Awesome. The 3 that I'm playing for sure is going to be Xander, John Rahm, and Patrick Reed are my for sure's right now. And the pivots that I really like, just by looking at this ownership here, I love that Dustin Johnson's going to be possibly half the ownership of John Rahm. Cheaper, 500 cheaper. When it comes to U.S. Opens, you look at his track record here, should be 2 wins. That 2015 Chambers Bay still gets me. But, top 6 in 5 of his last 7. He's won 1. So I just like that we get the number 1 player in the world at, let's just say, 10-11% ownership, somewhere around there, I would guess. 9 to 11, somewhere in that range, I would guess, depending on your contest. I love that. If I was playing 20 max, I would even consider fading Rahm and going with DJ just because of the ownership factor on that one. I also like Justin Thomas here, the fact that he could be even lower owned than Dustin Johnson in this top group. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at this, because we've got elite golfers. And if we can get another elite golfer in the same price range at half or even more ownership discount on them, I will definitely make that pivot, just because we know anything can happen in golf, high variance. And then you throw in that it's a very difficult, long course. I think we can see a lot of, carnage happen. And if that happens, I definitely like the pivots. I mean, not to say that JT and DJ can't be part of that carnage as well, but if for some reason Rahm was to even say he makes the cut, finishes 14th, he's not going to be in the winning lineup. If even DJ won't even have to win, if he just puts up the DK points and finishes, top 3, and Rahm finishes outside the top 10, I think DJ becomes the much better play and probably would be in the winning lineup. That's just kind of the way I'm approaching these ownership pivots. So DJ and JT are my 2 top pivots in this range. And then kind of digging down into that next range, like as you can see, there is going to be a lot of chalk in this upper tier. There's only 3 guys that fall right now below in my model, below 12% ownership. So this next range, I guess before I go into that next range, what I'm probably going to target in my builds is going with 2 of these guys 9K and up. And I think if you want to go really contrarian, the DJ Thomas build is going to be very contrarian. I think it leaves you about 7,400 average on DK. So it's definitely doable grabbing 2 guys in this top tier with the softer pricing. And that's definitely the lower ownership way to go. If I'm going with a chalk guy, let's say Rahm or Morikawa or Schauffele, I'm probably going to pair him with someone that's a little bit lower owned. And then as I start going down, I'm probably going, if I grab 2 of these chalk guys in the top tier, I'm going to be avoiding chalk guys once I get down into that mid 7 and 8K range. So dipping below that 9K range, let's just say mid 7K and up, who you like in there and who you like in pivot into?
Yeah, so roster construction, like you were saying, I like. I'm not even going to worry, I don't think, about ownership on the top guys just because I'm going to get different down low, I think. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. But when you dip below 9,000, Tony Finau sticks out just with, I know he's going to be popular, but his course form and the way that he's played in U.S. Opens and his style just fits this course, even when it's set up a little tougher. So Finau is probably my favorite, even though he's probably going to be the highest owned, I would think, in the 8K range. And Willis Zalatoris just sticks out to me as well. I mean, he's a premier iron player. 8,600 is a fine price for him. So those are my 2 favorites in the upper 8K range. Hideki, I guess, would be the pivot. He's still not playing that bad, I don't think. If you look back from the Masters, obviously you're going to have a hangover after that. So I think he can bounce back here a little bit. If dropping down, the low 8K range is not one that I'm going to probably live in, honestly. I
agree.
I don't see anything from 8K all the way up to Zalatoris that I'm really intrigued by. Maybe you feel differently.
I don't. And looking at your plays, Finau he's going to be chalky. He could be, the highest owned player this week. I just at 8,900. If the price was 95 to 10K, I'd probably start considering it. But he's been good at U.S. Opens. He's been good in tough conditions. He's been good at the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. And then I go and look at, okay, what's he like around the greens? And I look at that over the last 24 rounds, looking at Fantasy National Golf Club. He's 3rd in this field in strokes gained around the green over the last 24 rounds. Going to your Zalatoris pick, love it. Long irons. He is top 10 in both 175 to 200 and 200 plus. He's average around the green. 44th in this field is pretty darn good. That's above average. 25th in par 4 scoring. 13th in driving distance, so he stands out as well. I'm with you 100% on how you're looking at this range. Matsuyama, I think, is going to be very low owned. Webb Simpson, I think, makes another good pivot. He would probably be my favorite pivot over Matsuyama. They both have good U.S. Open history here, as you can tell by looking at that. It's been a while since Webb won, but it was back in 2012. He doesn't have the experience here at Torrey Pines in the Farmers Insurance Open that some of the other guys have, but just going and looking at his stats recently, let's just go look at them on the sheet here real quick. I'm going to slide over to the rankings. He is 11th in overall putting, so we know he's elite putter. He's even better on, the POA splits, 2nd in the POA splits on my sheet, 7th in strokes gained around the green. So those are some elite areas right there that I'm looking at. He's only average distance, 64th, but very accurate. So he's going to hit those fairways. Very solid long irons, par 3, 4, and 5. He's top 5 in all of those on the sheet, which is just, he hits on too many things for him to be 5 to 8% owned, for me not to have any exposure in this big event. So Webb Simpson is my favorite pivot in this 8K range. And then I'm with you that I'm not really on anyone. I think Louis Oosthuizen is going to be probably a top 5 highest owned player. Look at his U.S. Open, but he might be one that I end up fading. We're going to have to make a few stands here. Unless you're making 150 lineups, you're going to have to make a stand on a few players. And these are just a few that me and Dane are definitely making a stand on. My question just below 8K, as we scroll down here a little bit, is Paul Casey and what you're doing with him. Like, I think, to me, if you're playing cash games, he's a solid cash play. I don't want to say a lock for a top 25, but he doesn't seem like he has that upside at the U.S. Opens, but he seems like he's not going to kill you. And that tells me that he's a cash play. What do you think?
Muted again. I don't know how I can fade him completely out of the pool. I mean, he's 7,900. I think he should be right around the mid 8s or at least.
True.
So 7,900, I gotta play him. I know I'm like telling everybody to play all these chalk guys, but I really just can't see not getting him in your pool. And down low is where I'm going to get different, and I'll kind of talk about the construction that I'm going to have. I think in quite a few lineups it's going to be pretty stars and scrubs, and the last guy in is going to allow me to get a lot, and it's going to definitely make me different. And we'll get down to that in a bit. As far as the rest of this range, I always want to make Tommy Fleetwood work. And he's played fine at U.S. Opens in the past. He played well. I think it was on Sunday at Shinnecock when he made a big run there to finish back of Brooks, but he made a run at him there. 7,800 is a fine price. I was going to pull up his stats recently, but it just does not feel like he is playing very well overall right now.
Elite around the green.
He gained strokes everywhere but putting, and he was kind of flat there last week. Missed the cut at the PGA and was fine at the Wells Fargo as well. But that's kind of where he always is fine. But he's usually priced high 8s. So at this price range, I think you can include him. I think I will have a share of Fleetwood. He's not the shortest hitter by any means, so I think you can take a shot on him. The two chalk guys kind of in this upper 7s is going to be Kokrak and Lowry, I think. I was just kind of looking around at different ownerships, and they're going to be right up there with Casey, close to 20%, I would say 15 to 20 at least. And I'm not sold on either completely. Maybe you can sell me on one or the other, but maybe that's just where we take our stand in the 7K range and get off these guys. I'm not really dying to play either one. And I would like Woodland a little bit more. I know he's going to be – I'm seeing him sub 8% on another site. I know you're seeing him 10 to 12 or somewhere in there as well. But 7,500 for Woodland. He started to turn the corner a little bit, and he's definitely going to be maybe half of what those two guys are, maybe a little bit more than that. But 7,500, that's a nice little pivot that I like. I don't even know if I can get behind Neiman. I just feel like he's a little bit off lately. Maybe I'm wrong there, but he's not played very well at the Farmers. Sergio is a complete no-go for me right now, in majors especially. So that's kind of my upper 7s.
All right. I just wanted to look at Woodland real quick and go back to his 2019 U.S. Open. What strikes me, I'm not going to have any Woodland myself. He gained 7.2 strokes putting that week. He was awesome on approach as well. So, yeah, not too much there. But for me, when it comes down, you mentioned Kokrak and Lowry probably being the two highest owned in this section. I'm not going to have any Kokrak. That's kind of the one guy that I'm going to be going off of. Some of the chalk guys that I'm going to be fading, I guess. No particular reason. He's a good ball striker. We know that. We've been kind of riding him for a while here. He's down a bit in terms of strokes gained around the green, par 4 scoring. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about him, honestly. Shane Lowry is the guy that I'm playing in this range. You said you needed a way to go ahead and be sold on him, so I kind of got a little bit here for you. what I like the most and what I wrote up in my DFSR article this week is that he's coming off of 2 events where he finished T6 at the Memorial and T4 at the PGA Championship, both elite events, elite fields, and he gained strokes in every strokes gained area. And what struck me the most is the around the green. He gained 4 and 3.5 strokes around the green in those 2 events. So his around the green game is awesome. He's got championship caliber. Like, he won the Open, I believe that 2019 Open championship that he won. So he's won a major before. He does well in these tough field events. He's excellent around the green, and the ball striking's been on. So it really just comes down to his putter for me in terms of his complete upside. But I think he's definitely the safest in this range. At 7,600, I absolutely love it for cash games. And if he at all even putts field average or gains 1 to 2 strokes putting, I think we're going to see him top 10. I'm going to be looking at his top 10, top 20 numbers this week, and I definitely want a piece of that with Shane Lowry. But I love the price at 7,600. But other than that, in this range, I was surprised to see Brian Harman maybe a little bit less owned in terms of a projection, like 5 to 8%, something like that. So he's a pivot that I will go to off of. Like, you can see, there's a lot of chalk guys in this 7K range right now, low 7 to mid 7. Harman's one that I like pivoting to. He's been solid at U.S. Opens in tough events. T2 in 2017, T36 in 2018, T38 in 2020. So 3 straight solid finishes. I'll take a T38 anything inside of T40 at 7,400 from a guy that maybe is going to be 5 to 8% owned for sure. Missed his last 2 cuts in 2019 and 18 at the Farmers, but he does have a top 10. So he has had some success here, although it's back in 2017. And he comes in with solid form. As you can see here, he's got top 25s in 5 of his last 6 events, 2 of them being top 10s. And I just wanted to bring up one more thing here on him that struck me. He is 4th in this field in strokes gained around the green. So that was the thing that really set me off and had me on him. And then I checked the ownership, and that's kind of what had me. I mean, he can lose strokes on approach. He lost almost 8 strokes at the Wells Fargo 3 events ago at start of May. But the ball striking's been on the last 2 events. Even he missed the cut at the PGA. He gained 4.6 strokes on approach, but he really failed around the green, and putting made up for it at the Charles Schwab with the top 10, gaining strokes in every strokes gained category. So I'm definitely on Brian Harman as my pivot down in this low to mid 7K range. Any thoughts on him or anyone else in the low range for pivot?
Yeah, I mean, I'd kind of written Harman off just because of the length. But yeah, I mean, if he's going to be 5% owned or something, you could go there for sure. And he has, I think, 2017. Where was that U.S. Open at?
In 17?
Yeah.
17 was Oakmont. Oh, no, sorry, Erin Hills.
Yeah, so that was a little – I mean, that was still a bomber's paradise because that's the one Brooks won, right?
Yeah, minus 16.
Yeah, and he was second. So he's played well at a Bombers U.S. Open track before. So there's something to be said for hitting dead center of the fairway a lot of the day. So if he can do that through the week, he's definitely in play at 7,400. The rest of this range is a little tough for me, and that's why I'm saying I think I'm liking the way that I'm building. I can play some of the chalk guys, not all of them, up top and get a little different by playing into the 6K range. I think Higo, I'm not really sure what to make of him coming off that win, but the talent level is there for 7,200. That's a certainty. I couldn't imagine clicking Matthew Wolff this week. That's like no chance that happens.
Nope.
Matt Wallace is another one at 7,100 that I would think about. But really, this range is kind of up in the air. Stuart Sink is playing a little better. 7,200 is fine for him. Bezadenhout's not a long driver by any means, but he can plot his way around sometimes. What's your thoughts on Wallace? I think initially he would be my favorite down here.
I like Wallace as well. He stood out to me early in the week. Once I started going over the top tier and deciding that I'm probably going to have 2 of those top guys, I really started to come down to the mid 7 and start going down to find whether I was going to be able to do that. And it's definitely going to work out. And I do like Wallace, especially now that looks like he's going to be below 10% owned as well off of some of these guys. And the chalk kind of dissipates here from where was it here? Under Paul Casey, under Answer. So down looking at Kokrak 7,600 and down. These are guys that are going to be under 8%. So all these guys with the C for chalk here are going to be, I lowered the standards a little bit for these lower guys, but they're going to be higher than 7%. So you're looking at 7 to 12% for these guys. I think Kokrak was going to be like 15 and higher, but same with Lowry up there as well. But we got Ryan Palmer, Higo. I'm not on Higo either. Charlie Hoffman's been playing well. He's right up there in terms of ball strike, tee to green stats over the last 24, 36 rounds. He's just been playing well. I would consider him. He's done well in U.S. Opens, but he's going to be chalky. Now, in terms of Matt Wallace, he's 20th in strokes gained tee to green over the last 24 rounds in this field. That is awesome for a 7,100 price tag. He's 20th in strokes gained approach, 26th in strokes gained around the green, and 12th in par 4 scoring. So the long irons are what trouble me because he's only about average in distance, 45th to 50th in terms of driving distance gained. If you look at fairways gained, he's much better than average in terms of fairways gained when you look at Fantasy National Golf Club. So I take that into account a little bit as well. I'm not going to downgrade a guy who maybe isn't as long but is still accurate. Webb Simpson comes to mind a little bit there. He's very accurate. It's going to hit fairways. He maybe is not as long, but then he backs it up with long irons. So Matt Wallace is kind of like a light, but his long irons are what concern me. But the rest of the game I really like, especially the around the green. If he's going to be missing greens from long ways out, I want him to be making par, and he's been doing that lately. So that's one I'm looking at. Might even work a little bit more for cash games. And he hasn't really had one thing go wrong in any event lately. Like he was a miscut at the Memorial, T56 at Charles Schwab, T55 at the PGA. So the form looks ugly, and that's probably where that low ownership comes from. But he gained in the miscut at the Memorial, he gained 5.1 strokes on approach. At the Charles Schwab when he missed the cut, he gained 2.3 off the tee, and he gained both around the green and putting, but lost 5 strokes on approach. So it's kind of one thing that's really been getting him each and every week. So if he puts it together, I think we see like a upside of like a top 10 out of him. So I definitely will have him in my GPP pool.
Yeah, I like it. So we're going to get down into the 6K range, and there's the way that I'm leaning going this week is jamming a couple, maybe even 3 above 9K. I think it's possible. And playing one of these cheap darts and hoping they get us a 20th place finish. I think we see that quite a bit in these events. We've seen it at the PGA. There was a couple guys that do it. If you're playing 20, I think you can spread your exposure around and do it. But playing all these chalk value guys in that 7K range is not going to work out. You can't. Maybe it does at the end of the week, but it's not the route that I'm going to be taking by playing starting lineups at or for the majority of my lineups. I'm not going to be starting at 9,200 at like Hovland and then just playing Paul Casey, Shane Lowry, Kokrak, and finish out my lineup down there. I'm not doing it. I'm going to make myself not do it because those guys have, in this type of event, have a bigger chance of missing the cut. We see it all the time in this event, the carnage that we see. You can have a stretch of 30 minutes ruin your first 2 days and you're going home. So we see that a lot. I think you can definitely take shots on these guys down here. And I'm just going to start chucking names at you in the order that I have them ranked below 7K.
Can I guess your first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think your very first one that you're going to mention at the top of your list is Lanto Griffin.
No.
Shit.
I did look at him, but no, he is not on the list.
Well, shut up and listen.
He's played well here. I think he did early in the year, but he's not playing good right now, or I'd definitely be on him. He was 7th here in the spring. That's and 12th a few years back. So if you want to go course history narrative, sure, but he is not playing well right now. But he would definitely be one to look at. If you're playing 20, maybe you could throw him in a couple. But there's some kind of off-the-wall names that I'm going to throw at you and see just what your thoughts on them are. This is not going to be in order of how I have them ranked, I think. So Wilco Neeb. I don't even know. I don't want to try to say that name. I've been doing this with soccer. I just ruin it. But he was a complete bomber we saw last week, I think. Played pretty well. and he's sub 7K. So I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but I'll let you look at him, and I'll just keep going. So the other guy that I really want to throw a little bit on is down at 6,100. Is Chan Kim. He was 23rd at the PGA. He's pretty good tee to green. And he's a long hitter. I mean, he plays, I think, on the Japan tour. He won his sectional qualifying by almost a runaway, I believe, 6,100. I mean, 23rd at the PGA. He's got to be in good form if he can play at Kiowa and finish 23rd. I mean, 6,100 seems like a steal for him. A couple other guys that are coming over from the Euro Tour that I think we've seen come over and play pretty well at these type of events. Jordan Smith, last 3 events on the Euro, 17th, 3rd, and 11th, 6,600 for him there. The only stat that he's kind of not very good at is around the green on the Euro Tour. But so that's the thing you got to worry about. But all these guys are going to have something to worry about. And the last guy, he's been playing very well. I've not been playing much Euro, but I've seen him a lot around the leaderboards when I check in over there. And Eduardo Molinari, I've seen that he is very excited to come and play this event because I think Francesco lives out there in California now. So he's able to see him for the first time in a while, I believe. And his tee to green game on the Euro Tour has been very good. So those are some shots that I'm going to take. Obviously, there's some other guys in the upper 6K range that might be a little safer. But those are guys that I want to mix and match in my lineups.
Well, sir, I hope your darts hit the dartboard this week, and especially the bullseye. I'm with you on a few. I like the Chan Kim play a lot. Winning, his sectional, like you said, at the PGA, he was T23, and in that T23, he gained 4.2 strokes on approach, 1.3 around the green, and he was about, I think he lost like 0.1 putting. Yep, 0.1 stroke putting. The week before, or not the week before, but his previous PGA experience before that in 2021 was the WGC Mexico in end of February, and he ended up finishing T35 there. What drove that? He lost 4 strokes ball striking, was still able to finish T35 in a WGC event because he gained 1.1 on the green and 4.4 around the green. So that really stands out to me a lot, that he looks like he has a solid around the green game. And I think that could at least get him the cut this week, get him through to the weekend. And if we can get a top 40, top 30 out of him, I think 6,100, you're cruising there, especially if you're jamming in those top guys like we talked about. And then another one I like, Justin Suh. His form maybe isn't as good. He missed the cut at the Wells Fargo, was absolutely terrible. But was T28 at Corrales, T35 at Puerto Rico, T37 at the Farmers earlier this year. So that's good to see. He's got experience on this course. He's been pretty good in his experience on the PGA Tour so far. Nothing huge that stands out, but I think he won his qualifier. I watched a bit of it. He kind of went into that second day, I believe, in his qualifier and made it through. Back to Lanto, I know the form isn't there. He's missed 4 of his last 5 cuts right now. I obviously think he's going to be super low owned because of the form is just absolute trash. His last event he did good, was smashed right in the middle of those 4 missed cuts at the Wells Fargo T26. He gained strokes in every strokes gain area there. What stands out to me here is, one, he's got the distance. I'm just going to jump back to him here and have a look. 2, he's got the long iron proximity. He's 5th and 22nd over the last 24 rounds in long irons, 175 to 200 and 200 plus. So I like that. And then, like you said, back over on the sheet here, I wanted to highlight him. He's been, I don't want to say good at the U.S. Open. He's made the cut both times he's played the U.S. Open. The second time was better last year, obviously, at Winged Foot there. And then the course history at Torrey Pines, obviously, with a T7 this year and a T12 back in 2018. The form is terrible. He's going to be low owned. He hits on the distance and the long iron stuff for me. A little bit of course history. And at that price, at 6,800, again, I think if he finishes inside the top 40, we are doing good, especially if he's going to get out there and put up some birdies for us. So he's one I'm looking at. And what was that very first one? I don't know nothing about Wilco Nienaber. Or whatever his name is. But I don't know enough about him yet. I'm going to have to look into him. Couple other things I wanted to go over here real quick. Whoops. Is some prize picks plays. So prize picks changed things up here a little bit recently, since I've played, at least on the PGA side of things for prize picks, is they've now got single stats. So we've got fantasy score. You can definitely play that. And that fantasy score, if we go look at the rules and scoring chart here for PGA, it's just a stroke. So it's really simple. Over under Dustin Johnson 72.5. Over or under. Is he going to shoot 71 or better, or is he going to shoot 73 and over? So you've got that. But now you've got single stat DFS here as well. So you can go with the players, and you can go birdies or better. You can go longest drive for the round, and of course Bryson's sitting up there at 365. We're going to see these guys unleash it out there. Obviously needs to be on the fairway, so that could be something we want to play with here in terms of over under on longest drives. We've also got finishing position, and this is just at the end of round 1 here. I was going to look at that because that's the one I wanted to get a little bit more clarity on, that finishing position. I will look into that more and hit you guys up in chat. But a few that I do like here, birdies are better. I think we could definitely look at and target some unders on these, just because of the difficult scoring conditions that we're going to see. Same with fantasy score in terms of scoring here. Like you can see, they're set very high right now. Like I think 68, 69 is going to be a very good score out here. So pick your guys that you think can make it through. I think John Rahm is one that I would take the under on, meaning he's going to be shoot 71 or better for that. But prize picks is definitely something I'm going to be playing a lot more this week for all 4 rounds. That's how they really break it up. If you got more questions, want to learn more about prize picks, hit me up in chat. I'm going to be helping people out in there. I'm going to provide a few plays as well later tonight once I kind of go through this entire field on prize picks. I'm working on getting a tab open on the PGA cheat sheet as well for all of these stats, for all these projections, and then just some stats to kind of go and help you make these decisions for prize picks. So if you want to give prize picks a try, head over to prizepicks.com, use promo code Jaeger, and you're going to get 100% match bonus up to $100. Or you can check out the links below here in the description of the video. I've got links in there as well. So the other thing I wanted to go over here real quick was the DFSR optimizer. So I write for DFSR as well. My article you can check out on the homepage, dfsr.com, dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. Go over to PGA and you can click on today's picks. You can go in and read that article. Wait till it loads here. So I kind of go over the course. That is a basketball article. But yeah, on the main page here under PGA, you can find my article. What I wanted to show you was the optimizer here real quick. We'll get into that. Just taking a little bit longer to load. Sorry about that. We will dive in. So if you're familiar with the DFSR tools, it's very similar for PGA as it is for NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. So this is kind of the look here. So you've got 1 to 50 lineups that you can make. Randomness 1 to 100. So let's just say you're making 50 lineups. Go over to FanDuel because we'll use DraftKings actually. So for DraftKings, because of their rules, you have to lock, or actually you have to make 2 decisions pretty much. So let's just say I talked about Webb Simpson and Xander Schauffele. So those are your 2 locks. You can just go ahead and hit optimize. Very, very simple, and start building. It's going to build 50 lineups because that's what we chose up here. So then you can go ahead and export those, load them on the DraftKings. Very, very easy. I've got this set at 20 right now in terms of randomness. If you set it at 0, your player pool outside of the 2 players that you lock is going to be very, very small. If you set it to 100, the variance between all of these golfers, the other 4 golfers in each lineup, is going to be, it's really going to open up, and you're going to have a lot of those. Your player pool is going to be much, much larger. So keep that in mind when using randomness. You can use filters. So if you wanted to build a more balanced lineup, you want to ignore all the guys below 7,000 and all the guys below 10,000. We'll go to 9,900. You can use that filter as well. we'll just run another lineup here and show you what that looks like. It's going to keep all of your 10K guys out of those lineups. You can use points, so projected points, guys that are projected low, you can take out, which generally the optimizer is going to do this anyway for you, as the algorithm is set up to do that. All right. So that's the way we use it. It's pretty simple. The same for FanDuel. We've got that for DK Showdown in here as well. FanDuel, there's no rules or restraints, so you can just go ahead and hit optimize, see what our optimized lineup is. I seem to have a filter in here that is messing with things, so I'm just going to reset the screen. We will head back over to my pretty face here. If you're looking to try out DFSR Optimizer, definitely hit me up in my Patreon chat or in the existing RotoPros chat up until the end of June and ask me how you can get the summer free to try out our DFSR tools. That's 3 free months up until September. So you're going to get the rest of June, July, and August for free. Come over and try that out. Hit me up in chat. I'm going to tell you how to do that. All right. Finally, I wanted just to go over, I talked about RotoPros only going to be around until the end of June. What we are doing here, oh, sorry, before I get into that, I actually want to jump over to the cheat sheet. We've got a question here. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for tuning in. One other, I'm just going to throw his question up here. One other cheap guy I wanted to ask about was Robbie Shelton. So I'm going to grab Dane's thoughts on Robbie Shelton here. He doesn't know much about him. He's made 3 straight cuts and has 2 nice finishes last year at the last 2 years at the Farmers. Did you have any thoughts on Shelton?
No. He was not one that I've even looked at yet. Honestly, I'll be honest, didn't even know he's in the field. So he's not one that I'm going to be playing down there at 64 this week. There's, like I talked about, a few other guys that I'm going to take shots on. And there's not going to be enough room in the amount of lineups I'm making to go with a ton of them down there.
And the only thing that stands out for him is that strokes gained around the green. Other than that, statistically, it's not great. The form, I mean, he's made 3 straight cuts, but this is a very difficult event. Obviously, an elite field. I don't have him as one of my guys making the cut either. I could see why you definitely like him and why he stands out. Looking at that Farmers Insurance Open, that he's gotten better at Torrey Pines the last 2 years. So it could be a flyer, but same as you, I'm only looking at about 3-4 guys down here, and he was kind of just outside for me. He did kind of stand out originally, just looking at that Farmers Insurance Open history, but overall, I don't think I'm going to have any exposure to him. I'm mostly, like I said, I've got 4 or 5 guys in this low range. It's probably more like 3 to 4 because I really do like a fairly balanced build after I've got 2 builds this week. So I'm doing 20 max. I'm doing half of them in a stars and scrub and half of them in a balanced build where I'm probably going to ignore all the 10K and up guys. And then in half of my stars and scrubs builds, I'm probably going to go the contrarian route with like DJ and Justin Thomas that I've talked about as well. I'm also considering going even heavier on those contrarian picks and just kind of playing it that way. I'm not 100% sold on that yet, but that's just kind of the way I'm looking at it. Definitely hit us up in chat later in the night to get our final thoughts. But as of now, that's kind of the way we're leaning. So I just wanted to transition quickly into, Chan Cam really stands out. Shout out to Dane for that pick. I wasn't completely on him. He did stand out a little bit. I heard them talking about him a little bit on Golf Channel this last couple days. So yeah, definitely shout out to him. I will have some exposure to him 100%. He's probably going to be the most exposure. Justin's in there as well for me, and then Lanto Griffin. Those would be my top 3 guys below that 7K range. So before we go here, I just want to talk about anyone existing over at RotoPros. We are shutting down. If you haven't heard yet, we've been mentioned in our videos. We've mentioned it in chat. RotoPros is going away at the end of June. We're keeping the Slack chat open, providing the same content we always have. I have brought over Dane, Kenny, and Ryan over to my Patreon to keep the team together. We've been working together, almost all of us, for at least a year. I've worked with Ryan for almost 5 years now. He worked with me at DFSR as well. We are covering more. We're doing more content. The prices are going up July 1st, but there is a chance. I'm just going to put that up here, this message at the bottom again, in case you missed it earlier in the show. You can get access right now for the end of the month $5 per sport. It's showing Canadian dollars here, but I always talk in US dollars because I would say 98%, 95% of our members are American. Cover NHL, college sports, League of Legends, PGA, soccer, lots of soccer. Just ask Dane. UFC, college football's in there as well. I mentioned college sports, NBA, baseball, NFL, NASCAR. We're bringing tennis on. We have betting content. We have I would say now, Dane, would you say we got about 5 members only videos coming out per week in terms of soccer, tennis, baseball, League of Legends just came back with sheets. So I've been getting a lot of sheets out on, or sorry, videos, members only videos out on that. So we're going to have a couple public videos per week. But then we're also going to use members only content.
Yep, for sure. We've started doing, I know you've done baseball, League of Legends, and then I've been doing a couple of the soccer ones. I'm going to try to do one tonight. Am I able to share the screen on here?
Yeah, give it a try. I don't know.
We just switched over, so I don't know. Okay, we're going to try this here. How about that?
No. Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, so can you see the soccer sheet?
So I'm going to bring that up. I think I have to control it, but there we go. Boom.
Yeah, soccer so this sheet. I'll give you all a quick preview of tomorrow's soccer sheet. I already have it ready to go. I've not posted it yet because the soccer slate's not over for today, so I doubt anybody's doing any research for tomorrow yet, but it'll be posted soon. So this is just kind of an overview of how the sheet looks. So we have this for EPL and all the Euro slates for the next month. So we have the lineup page with each team and their projected lineups until they are made official about an hour before kick. It has where they're at in the standings in their group, how many goals for and against, how many goals per 90 minutes, the possession, last 5, and then the odds, some of the odds, the totals and things like that. And then you can come down here and look at each lineup and see the individual stats. So I've just got this switched over to the Euro stats since every team has played a game. So we got goals, assists, crosses, and corners. So I talk about in some of the videos things to look for as far as floor or what types of contests you're playing. So be sure to join us for those. It's a lot of fun. We've been covering soccer for a little over a year now with Roto Pros and with the sheets as well. So it's a lot of fun. Hop on in.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun. Taking on more of these sports, and then now this StreamYard just helps out a ton. But these members only videos with that awesome screenshot, it's just very easy to put together. If you guys have got questions on the sheet, things you don't understand, hit us up in DM. We can quickly put together a quick 5-minute video for you showing and explaining exactly what you want to see. It's just so easy for us to bring you that content. And the number one thing that we are looking to do with our Patreon as we grow here is the user, the community part of it is the biggest thing, the biggest feedback we've got, and the biggest feedback I've got since I started Patreon, since I started with Roto Pros, with our Slack chats, and even over at DFSR as well, is what people want is the community where we can learn together, not us saying that we're experts and you need to listen to us. That is not how this works. We have more time than a lot of people, than the majority of people, to put together this research content, to put together all the stats, to put together the articles and the videos, to give you information and give you our opinions. We want to help you with your research process. We help you form your own opinions and really just discuss plays. And because everyone's good at something and everyone's good at different things. So we just want to build a community where we can all communicate together and just grow and win together. So that's really what we're looking to do with our Patreon, Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, moving forward. So I'd like to thank you all for all your support this whole time, for your support moving forward. And again, if you got any questions at all, hit us up in chat. We're pretty much in there 24/7. I rarely sleep anymore, to be honest. But definitely hit us up. And for golf, we'll be around in chat tonight, making lineups and answering all your questions. So again, thanks a lot for joining the broadcast. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot more videos coming out and you're going to get notifications. It'll be nice when we do go live with these live shows. Thanks a lot, everyone. and let's go get some green screens for the U.S. Open.
Good luck, everybody.